Your episode, or I should say, your business is not supposed to feel like this. I'm excited to talk to you about episode 7. Your business is not supposed to feel like this. And this one kind of hits home for me because I've been overwhelmed lately. There's a lot of stuff going on personally, professionally. Not that it's all bad, but man, it just is not supposed to feel like this. I've been working so dang hard. So let's go ahead and open the desk and start talking about it. Hello, and welcome back to the Delegation Desk Show. This is a show for founders who built a successful business but feel overwhelmed today than they were, overwhelmed more today than when they actually started. We worked really hard to get here, right? Like we took risks, you took risks, you solved problems. We always seem to push through the uncertainty, and you built something real. And for a while, the business was exciting. It felt exciting. But somewhere along the way, we started to grow. The calendar filled up. The inbox never slowed down. The decisions kept stacking, and the responsibility followed you everywhere. My name is Jaime Jay, and today we are talking about something many founders quietly carry: constant pressure. Not the kind you talk about publicly, the kind you feel when you wake up in the morning. The kind that sits in the back of your mind during dinner, the kind that makes you feel like it's hard to fully relax, even when things are really going well. It's that feeling that your business owns you instead of the other way around. The feeling that, if you step away, something important might fall through the cracks. That pressure, it doesn't mean that you're failing. It usually means that your business has grown faster than your structure, than your process, than your system. And today, we're going to talk all about how to fix that. So let's see what's landed on the desk. All right, here's what landed on the desk this week. This week, a founder told us something honest. He said, "I thought growth would make things easier." That sentence really stayed with me because almost every founder believes that at some point you work hard, you build momentum, you add clients, you hire people, you increase volume, and you expect life to get lighter. But instead, growth made everything heavier. Does this sound familiar? More clients, more employees, more decisions, more responsibility. More people depend on you. More things can go wrong, more messages that you have to answer, more problems to solve, more moving parts to coordinate. Every decision flows through you in order for it to get done. And suddenly, the business that once felt exciting starts to feel overwhelming. It's one of my favorite books. It's a relatively older book, The E-Myth and the E-Myth Revisited, right? If you haven't read that book, highly recommend it. But you get the feeling of the baker, right? Not because the founder failed, but because the structure never kept up with the growth. This is one of the most predictable patterns I see. Revenue grows faster than systems. Work expands faster than processes. Teams grow faster than communication. And when all that happens, pressure builds, deadlines get missed, instructions get repeated, decisions get delayed. And the founder becomes the center of everything. And not because they want to be, because the systems require them to be that person. And growth without structure creates stress. You feel it in your calendar, your inbox, your energy, and eventually you feel it at home. But here's the good news. Structure turns growth into freedom. When responsibilities are clearly defined, decisions move a whole heck of a lot faster. And when workflows are documented, communication becomes a lot smoother. When ownership is assigned, the founder can step back without fear. Growth stops feeling heavy and starts feeling manageable. That is exactly why roles inside a delegation department exists, not to add more people, but to create clarity. And that brings us to today's candidate on the desk, because this role is often the turning point between chaos and calm. So let's check out the candidate on the desk. All right, today's candidate is a project coordinator and an operations support specialist. A little bit of a tongue twister there. And this role becomes the operational backbone of a growing business. Uh, I got to tell you, our project manager, GM, is absolutely amazing. And he does so many things with regards to coordination to where I know I have so much confidence that he's going to make sure everything's getting done that I can really not worry about that and spend my time focusing on whatever it is we need to do, like recording the Delegation Desk Show with our producer, Jeff, right? So when projects pile up, deadlines overlap, and communication starts breaking down between teams. And because businesses do not lose momentum from lack of talent, they lose it from lack of coordination. This candidate helps solve that. And she has experience in project coordination, workflow management, executive and administrative support, team collaboration and task delegation, calendar, travel, and meeting management, and client communication and coordination. And some of the tools that's included in her arsenal are ClickUp, Trello, Notion, Google Workspace, Slack, Zoom, Shopify, Klaviyo, Canva, Adobe Photoshop, Figma, and CapCut. But that's just a few. And here's what really stands out. This candidate understands that operations is not just about completing tasks, it's about creating clarity. Because in a fast-paced business, confusion spreads quickly. Misupdates become delayed projects, and delayed projects become stressed teams. And stressed teams, what do? They absolutely slow down growth, right? Have you ever asked yourself or asked somebody, hey, where are we at on that with this project? Or, hey, what's the latest going on with that? What's going on here? That absolutely has a lot to do with communication, and a project coordinator can actually step in and eliminate that, or at least mitigate it to the fact that it's very minimal. So what makes this candidate valuable is her ability to organize moving parts while keeping communication clear and workflows structured, not through micromanagement, through visibility and consistency. And she understands how to follow through, how to keep teams aligned, and how to maintain momentum behind the scenes, because momentum is it. That's what you need, is momentum. That matters more than most founders realize. I've learned that firsthand. Because delegation does not remove control. Delegation creates control through structure, communication, and accountability. And that's exactly why this candidate brings to the table. So let us move that file to the completed stack and go to the meat and potatoes of today's conversation, to the delegation download. Your business is not supposed to feel overwhelming. It's supposed to feel manageable. Not easy, not effortless, but manageable, right? We still like a good challenge. Otherwise, we wouldn't have done this in the first place. You should be able to step away for a few hours and know things will continue moving. You should be able to take a day off without worrying about what might break. You should be able to trust the work that's being handled even when you are not watching. Heck, you want to go on a 2-week vacation? But you can't because the business might crumble. You ever think about that? What if you could do that totally guilt-free, totally stress-free? You should be able to trust that the work is being handled when you're not watching, or when anyone else is watching. And that's what a healthy business feels like. But when work becomes unpredictable, stress increases. And I felt it lately. And I felt some of that stress lately. And it's my own damn fault. I need to take more responsibility for that. But I'm doing that, and that's specifically why I wanted this episode to be part, because it's real. This is how I feel. This is what's happening. It's happening to me. None of this ever is not happening to me. I'm right there with you in the same shoes that you're wearing. I want you to understand that. However, I have a roadmap. I have a way to get around that, because unpredictability forces your brain to stay on alert. You start checking messages more often. You start double checking work. You start carrying tasks in your head instead of trusting the system. And over time, that mental load becomes exhausting, not because the work is too hard, but because the work is too uncertain. And here's the pattern I see over and over. When deadlines move unexpectedly, founders feel pressure. Simple as that. When communication is inconsistent, founders feel anxiety. When responsibilities are unclear, founders feel frustration. All of that comes from unpredictability. And here's one thing that I'm feeling a lot of frustration in: sales, right? I don't have a predictable model for sales right now. And that is very frustrating to me. And I need to come up with a solution for that, which I am doing. Therefore, that's the reason I'm talking about this episode. Pick one thing out of your business that you feel frustrated about or that gives you anxiety. That's the area of your business you need to participate in focusing more time on. Again, all of this comes from unpredictability. You need to have predictive models for that. So let us flip that. When work becomes predictable, confidence increases, and you know what is happening. You know who owns the task. You know when it will be completed. You know what to expect next. That certainty creates calm, and calm allows you to lead instead of react. Predictability comes from structure, not from effort. Of course, there's effort in the beginning to build out this predictability model. But once you do that, forecasting in sales becomes a non-issue because you have a predictive model. Working harder does not make work more predictable, right? Hiring more people does not make work more predictable. Buying more software does not make work more predictable. Structure makes work more predictable. Clear steps, clear ownership, clear documentation, clear signals when work is complete, what action needs to occur in order to let everybody know in that particular task that it's been completed. And consistency turns overwhelm into confidence. That's the real power of delegation, not doing less work, but creating a system that makes work more reliable. We call this delegation intelligence. Delegation intelligence. So let's go ahead and wrap up this meat and potatoes section, the delegation download, and move on to the category corner. Delegation intelligence creates predictable operations, and predictable operations change everything because most founders are not overwhelmed by volume. They're overwhelmed by uncertainty. How do we get stressed? Because we don't know what's going to happen. What if? What if? When you come up with predictive models or predictive measures, that eliminates all of that unneeded stress in your life. And I need to practice what I preach. So when you're overwhelmed by uncertainty about what is done, about what is late, uncertainty about what might break next, about whether the team can handle things without them, the constant uncertainty creates stress, not a physical stress, but a mental stress, decision fatigue, the feeling that you can never fully relax before something might fall through the cracks. That's why predictability matters. Predictability reduces stress. And when work happens the same way every single time, your brain stops scanning for problems. When we think about responsibilities, and when responsibilities are clearly owned, you stop chasing updates. When processes are documented, you stop repeating instructions. Can you imagine how many times you have said the same thing over and over again to the same people, right? What if you can eliminate that? Oh my gosh, how many hours, weeks, months could that buy you back in your life? Predictability creates calm. But it also does something a lot even more important. Predictability protects founders, you and me. It protects your time, your focus, your energy, and it protects your relationship outside of the business because when operations are predictable, you can step away without fear. You can take a day off. You can go on vacation. You can think strategically instead of reactively. And that's not luck. That's structure. And structure is what makes businesses sustainable. Not hustle, not heroics, not working longer hours. Sustainable businesses are built on systems that produce reliable results day after day. And that is what delegation intelligence is designed to create. Predictable operations, reduce stress, protected founders, and that is how businesses become sustainable. Delegation intelligence. Okay, let's see what's coming across the desk. All right. I have a little bit of my diet soda. I know. Leave your comments. Tell me not to drink Diet Coke. I get it. Next week, we are talking about delegation skills, because delegation is not personality. Delegation is practice. And that is one of the biggest misconceptions founders carry. They believe some people are naturally good at delegating, and they believe other people are just not wired for it. But delegation, it's not a talent. It's a behavior. It's a structure. It's repetition. Think about any other skill in your business. Sales get better with practice. Leaderships get better with feedback. Communication gets better with clarity. Delegation works the same exact way. The more structured the process becomes, the easier delegation becomes, and the more predictable the results become. Next week, we're going to break delegation down into simple, repeatable steps: how to assign work clearly, how to confirm instructions before the tasks begin, how to know the work is complete without chasing updates, and how to build confidence in your team over time. And we'll also feature a bookkeeper candidate. This one's going to blow your mind, because financial workflows are one of the most common places founders struggle. That's me. Struggle to delegate, not because the work is complicated, but because the stakes feel high. And if you've ever said, I should be delegating more, I just don't know where to start, or I tried delegation before and it didn't work, or I don't have time to train, these are all signs that you need to learn delegation intelligence. You'll not want to miss this episode, because delegation is not personality. Delegation is a system that you build. And here's the beauty of it. You're the founder. Design it how you want to. And next week, we're going to show you exactly how to start. So let's go ahead and clear the desk. All right, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. Cheap help is not the problem. Unstructured work is. When work is unclear, even great people struggle. When expectations are vague, mistakes multiply. And when processes live in your brainium, the business slows down, and the founder ends up stepping back into work again. Not because the team is incapable, but because the system never existed. And this is why hiring alone doesn't fix delegation. Structure fixes delegation. So you build the system first, then you build the team around that system, because the strongest businesses are not built on people alone. They're built on reliable processes that anyone, quite frankly, can follow. And that's why, or what, creates consistency, and that's what protects your standards. This is what allows you to step back without fear. You do not need cheaper help. You need clear systems. We built a free assessment called the Delegation IQ Blueprint, and it shows you exactly where work is breaking down and what a real delegation system would look like inside of your business. You'll find the link below. If this episode helped, please subscribe. If you're tired of fixing the same problems over and over again, take the assessment, identify your bottlenecks, and remember this: build the system, then build the team. Clear the chaos, build the department. And now what I'm going to do is hand it over to our producer, Jeff, who's going to bring us home for this episode. I'll see you next week. Same desk, same time. Take it away, Jeff.
All right, so let's land this one. And what stood out to me in this episode is how many founders think that they have a people problem when it's really a systems problem. Working with Jamie behind the scenes, I've learned that delegation intelligence is less about finding better help. It's more of creating clarity around work itself. And a big part of what I do is helping create that structure, tracking workflows. And in that workflows, I always say, even when I was a DA before I got into the Bottleneck team, is it's like an adventure. You are doing your work as an adventure. And what you do in that adventure, you create your map. And that map will help you and in the future teams to have a guide on what they will do in the future. And also part of these tasks are organizing communication, keeping projects moving, and making sure that things don't fall through the cracks. So let me ask you two things that you can put in the comments down below. What's one task in your business you keep redoing because nobody seems to handle it the way you want it? And second, if a key team member disappeared tomorrow, what process would completely slow down? So I can say that's why workflows are very important and systems. And of course, delegation is very important in a company. So drop your answers in the comments, and we'll genuinely love to hear what you're feeling the friction right now. And if you're not following us yet, make sure that you are. We are on Facebook, Twitter, in our X right now, LinkedIn, Instagram. So make sure to follow us through these platforms, and wherever you wanted to see us, especially YouTube. Make sure to follow us and click that notification bell so that when our next episodes are coming up, you will be notified. So, and if you're ready to stop rebuilding the same problems every week, head over to bottleneck.online/let's talk, or hit the link in the description that we'll be posting. All the channels that we have, we will be posting it there. So make sure to click that link so you can be updated with what is next from us. So we'll help you build the structure first so your team can actually scale with you. Appreciate you watching until this part of the show, and catch you on the next episode. Bye for now.